You sit at a desk for 8 hours, then you drive to the gym, and you wonder why your hips are concrete and you're not able to throw a head kick. My name is Kelson, and I'll explain more about why 8 hours of sitting versus 5 minutes of stretching is not going to work. So as an adult martial artist who started, kickboxing, Muay Thai about 3 years ago, I noticed that I always had to do pre-warm-ups and rolling with the foam roller ahead of time before when the class started or the private training started. And I noticed that there's people who'd done karate growing up or some sort of mixed martial arts, and they were just already ready to go and warmed up and able to do body kicks, head kicks, no problem. And I found that was frustrating for me because I had to do a lot of stretching and warming up and just to get to a body kick. And that was still difficult earlier in my, career. So one of the things I researched about and looked into is how your brain rewires when you sit in a desk or in a chair in particular. When you sit all day in a chair, your hip flexors are shortened and your glutes are turned off. The real problem is neurological, where your brain just gets adapted to sitting on a chair as you're there for 8 hours, and then basically forgets how to use your end range for your hip flexors because it's used to 8 hours of sitting all day behind a desk. The example I would give is your brain treats sitting at a desk as your default setting. So muscles like your psoas and iliacus, they are neurologically locked short. See below for my 12-week intensive program. It's premium only. In addition, I do have a PDF explaining all the exercises I do that helped me from last year to this year to get 25 degrees strength of active hip flexions. From all the trials and errors I've done, what works and what doesn't. Check out the links in the description below. So you probably done videos where do these 5 stretches every day in the morning for desk videos and during the day or after work. I've done them too. But when you do it for 5 minutes, the next day you're tight again. So it doesn't really have the permanent fix. It's more of a bandage solution. This is where just based on science and just research, why passive stretching cannot overwrite 8 hours of sitting of neurological adaptation. So the nervous system isn't stupid. It gets used to what it's been doing for a very long time. So if you're sitting all day, it's used to that. So when you try to do end range stretches, you're gonna start seeing impasse. You're gonna start plateauing. You're going to feel this stop because your body hasn't done this in a while or hasn't done this in a consistent manner. So you have to reprogram what you do on a daily basis, because when you do just a 5-minute stretch, the hip flexors tighten up and you notice that right away, especially when you start pushing the limit. And if you only done it for 5 minutes without having a proper program or proper tactical solution and exercises, you're still going to stay where you are, and you're going to see the next day it's the same thing over and over again. I've gone through this. I've done yoga, gymnastic stretching, and even passive stretching at home with the foam roller and everything like that. But I noticed that when I programmed it on a daily basis with the dynamic stretching as well as strength stretching or strength flexibility on a consistent basis, that's where I see the results, and that's where I'm able to get more of a stretch and more results with my hip flexors and just easily getting to body kicks, shoulder kicks, and then getting to that head kick level with much more ease. I'm still working towards head kick level, but I have the programming that I'm working on to get to that side by the end of this year. So to undo the desk sitting, you have to prove to your nervous system that extended range of motion, you need active control, not passive flexibility. And that's something you have to work on a daily basis as a habit, as a schedule. One of the things I learned was active mobility and passive flexibility. So active control means you can move into that range and control it, produce force there. So your nervous system only trusts what you can unlock. It trusts you where you could go and stops you from where you haven't gotten there yet. So once I stopped thinking about passive stretching, yoga side of stretching, and started taking more of a hip flexor specific approach and just taking on the understanding of it, that's where I saw a lot more of my results. I could feel where my hips would open up much more easier without extensive stretching, extensive warm-ups, without my coaches or training partners like helping me with the partner front split like stretch. Like, it was way more easier, natural, and I was doing this cold without any extensive warm-up, and I built the strength over the months and throughout the year. So a couple of the exercises that helped me a lot was active strength, leg raises, standing knee bent, target leg extensions. This helped a lot, just controlling the range, as well as RDLs for building the base for my legs to support it, as well as active leg raises, like for example, like the pancake or straight pike leg raises, where I'm able to control it with my legs and have more isometric holds, which means I could hold it there for 3 seconds and then bring it down, all control. So it was more controlling it, as well as building the support for my legs in order to have that with both my legs and supporting it that way. With these type of end range isometric, it tells the brain that I could hold it here. I have the support systems, I've done the work. So that's where you slowly do the work continuously and you keep pushing it step by step, smaller weights. And then if you're doing the isometric holds where you're holding the knee and then just straightening it out, you do it slowly 10 seconds, but you're gonna get a certain range. For me, in a year, there was a big difference, but throughout the months, it took some time, and then it really showed up more in month 3, month 6, and then 9, and then 12. So you'll see the progress there, but it was just a base. Like, I have a lot of ways, a 3-day program or 3 days a week where I really focus on the strength of the hip flexors in different areas. So like building it, controlling it, and being able to actively build on different muscles without tiring them out the next day and letting it recover. So I look at it as a counterattack with this training program and training the hip flexors than like just sitting all day at a desk. So there's a concept called movement snacks, where throughout the day you do some basic stretches. The couch stretch is one of my favorites. I didn't like it at first, but it actually is really good for your hip flexors, as well as some hip circles. Throughout the day, walking, standing desk, a lot of different things throughout in order to break out this 8 hours of sitting and just continue to move the legs and get it active. So that way it doesn't stay concrete and you're able to have a lot more flexibility and your muscles are not sore or tight when you're going to the gym because of the working out and movement. So one of the things I restructured in my training program and what I'm doing this year, as well as the experience I learned from last year, is the morning stretches and the evening stretches. In addition, doing the warm-up before, which is doing some warm-ups before class or before I start the strength training for my hip flexors specifically. That helped a lot. In addition, the cool down. So for example, a pike knee leg raises as the cool at the end of the workout, as well as a couch stretch. Those really helped a lot, eased out the muscles, let them cool down. And that was one of those things I just had it in my program, just followed that. And this helped a lot because now I'm just doing this on a habit. It's just like brushing your teeth. You have to do this kind of stuff throughout every single day and like work on different muscles, give it time to rest. But it's like one of those things you just got to keep at it and you'll see the results start showing up in month 3, month 6, month 9, and then really in a year, complete difference. And it's just like all that work is just setting the foundation. So to conclude, don't let the office chair or sitting 8 hours dictate your martial arts performance. So this program helps. The 12-week program is intensive. The link is in the description. Follow me on Instagram @officialkelson. Thanks for your time, and I hope this was useful.